everyone. This is Heal Yourself Naturally. We're excited. Nicole couldn't be here today. We're not excited about that, but we are excited to talk about our favorite subject, right, Hava? The
Yes,
one
this
and
is
only
favorite.
subject that we always kind of evolve to is gut health and digestion, and probably one of the main reasons why people seek help from holistic
Absolutely.
practitioners like us is gut health, right?
Right.
I know for me it's daily, and I make gut powders and teas for tummy, and it's those are usually my best sellers. Uh, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And if anyone has any questions, you put it in the chat. We're here live on Facebook, and we'll check the chat after and answer questions. If you do, if anyone is ever interested in getting the live link and you can go on Zoom with us, and then we do a live chat after the class on Zoom. It's pretty exclusive. It's good stuff. So I can send the link to you. Just email me or Hava, or send us a message in the Facebook chat, and we can give you that Zoom link. We don't just post it on our Facebook page anymore
Yep.
because that was
Lesson learned.
wasn't
Lesson
very
learned.
fruitful.
Yes.
But anyway, gut health. Let's start. Well, there's a lot of different reasons why people can have gut issues. So, Hava, why don't you start and explain, what can get people into trouble with their gut in general?
Right. Thank you. Okay, so I would say the gut is the most important organ, and we love to speak about that and what actually can cause the trouble. So, number one, food that we eat, right? Everything that we eat is, well, we are eating, outside world gets into us. So whatever gets in our way and passes through our mouths, it's very important. And if the food is not good, meaning the food is not nourishing and the food is toxic, then we are getting in trouble. Another thing that can cause issues is our state of mind. If we are not happy and healthy and we all the time under a lot of stress, then we can call also a gut issues. Um, Lack of circulation, it can cause a problem when we are not moving, we're not in touch with our body, um, when we are absolutely far from reality of understanding our own body. It's called full disconnection. That's what we're actually dealing with, I think, at this time. And the lack of hydration. I want to leave some for you as well. I mean, I don't want to cover the whole.
No, that's
Maybe
okay.
I'll just mention and then we'll just go
Yeah.
under each. Right. So yeah. So, but I would say the most important thing is obviously begins from the food. Food is the main source. We are what we eat, what we drink, what we digest, what we process. So that's the basics. That's the bottom line, and then go the rest. So for us, digestion is one of the most important because this is what really activates our health. If we eat crappy food, then we feel crap. If we are not removing the bowels, then we feel crap as well. There is many things, but I would say the first and most important is the diet. Diet. What you put in your mouth, what goes from outside world inside you. And that's, I think, the most important, and we can speak about that and which foods are good and which food to avoid, and many things that we forgot about is how to eat. We forgot that we I think because of this connection, because nobody taught us, and doctor's job is no longer to teach us how to be healthy, but just provide us with the cover up a quick medicine, then we have nowhere where to learn. And unfortunately, too much information is on the TikTok, YouTube, and all other areas. And this is everyone spewing their own ideas or something they learn and they just passing through. But what is the real proper guidelines? What are the main things that we can do to help ourselves? How to eat, how to chew, when to drink, all these things. So let's speak about this, I think, right?
Absolutely. I would agree. First and foremost,
Basic rules, basic rules.
basic rules for food, right?
Right. That,
So,
yeah, but because that's the base. We cannot
so
go
you
further.
touched on it perfectly. It's like that's the first thing. It's your diet. If you're eating crap, you're going to feel like crap. And we can talk about all the other ways your guts can get in trouble. But number one is absolutely is diet.
Right.
Um, Other ones are like antibiotic use, right? Um, that can really screw up the gut, and hormones. Those are the other two things that I feel like can screw up a gut, even if the person's very healthy and has an impeccable diet. Those two factors, like going through menopause or hormone imbalances and then going on antibiotics, can really screw things up. But yeah, let's go back to food. So
Basics. Let's go there.
basics.
Quickly share the basic lines. What does it mean eat healthy? I don't know. Let's say somebody will come and say, I don't know, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So let's speak
So
about
according to me, I kind of, when I'm explaining to people or ask them, do you eat well? When we look at our plate, what's on it? Like, what do you put on your plate? And and first and foremost is you really need to get half fruits and vegetables in your diet a day. That's my litmus as far as what I suggest people do. I know they have, the grocery stores have you counting 5 a day or whatever, but because a lot of people don't eat that much, 5 of anything a day is probably a lot. But number one is get half fruits and veggies in your mouth a day. It doesn't matter what it is. So colorful food, and I don't mean Skittles. We're talking colors from nature. And
right.
when you look at your plate, every time, all right, so just pretend every meal you have a plate, okay? Because sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's a bowl or whatever. But how much real estate do vegetables take up on your plate? If it's less than 10%, you lose the game show. You're out, you know. We want 50% fruits and vegetables. That's what I say. And then, I mean, I'm an animal protein person. I like animal protein. I eat meat. I know a lot of other people don't, and that's totally fine. But you also want a good source of protein. And I prefer, you know, to eat a diversity of meats and not just eating chicken, chicken, chicken. I think people eat chicken like 12 million times a week. It's overkill on the chicken. So get
Yeah.
a little chicken, get a little pork, get a little lamb, get a little red meat. Yes, eat red meat. And red meat is so vilified. It's like, it's not bad for you. I don't understand what's going on here. Um, there's this blood marker that shows you eat too much red meat. And I mean, I don't know how true that is. I just think it's such a shame that red meat gets so vilified. So I think a diversity of meat and half fruits and vegetables is a great diet. No soda and very, very little, no refined sugar, but very little sugar. What do you
Right.
think? What do you think, Hava?
Yeah. Yeah. So the way I would look at it is, first of all, I would look what is your ancestor, how we say it, ancestor
Ancestors?
ancestors, yes, your ancestors diet. Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Let's have
So what
okay.
did you evolve eating, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Yep.
that's what number one, because once we come, America is a very beautiful place, and everyone comes from a different regions, different parts of the world. And I would say that it's very important to look what your ancestors been eating, so that way you can actually really um, um, understand what you can and what you should avoid, because I've seen people who come, let's say, from Europe, and for some of the parts in Europe, for them yogurt, let's say, and milk, it's absolutely good. And then I found people for who, let's say, people who never ate milk in their diet. This is not was part of their region. So for them, I would never push to have a yogurt, even though I know no yogurt is very good and healthy, so that's is number one. First, I would just like go over and we see from where you come, who are your parents, what your parents been eating. Not parents, actually we no longer can look at the parents, we can say our grandparents or grandparents. If we can dig more, dive deep into the look from where they come, that's number one. The next that I would suggest is eat seasonal food. It's very important because we have so much misconception, and people are actually so misled that we have a people who are mm, um, sitting in a very cold weather and now trying to eat a raw vegan diet. That's
Right.
absolutely horrible. That's actually can cause more harm and damage. And most people think, yeah, but I'm cleansing. Well, first of all, we never cleanse in the winter time. In winter time, we hibernate. In winter time, we build, we restore. It's a kidney time. This is a very important time. So if you do detoxes in the winter, you actually have a huge problem. You're causing damage than good. And you also want to look at what is the seasonal food at that time, and you will see seasonal food is actually the medicine for you. So if you're trying to eat watermelon and it's snowing outside, you're actually cooling your body and causing more trouble. So look at the seasonal. It's the easiest. The way how people don't even know what the seasonal food is because they're so used to go to the regular stores, which now can have any fruits
Right.
any time of the year.
Anytime. Yep.
Right. So I would suggest go to farmers market and you'll see they will have a couple squashes, some potatoes, onions, and maybe and oranges, and that's it.
Yeah.
Basically, well, that's the food. This is you might have some persimmons, which is an amazing time that it's all the orange. Actually, there's a meaning. All the orange fruits and vegetables, they are so important because they work on your liver, help your liver to work. There's so much meaning to it that we really forgot about that. And the next that I would suggest is I would then tune into what makes you feel good when you eat. And if we, let's say, don't know and still not realizing what the food are good or bad, I would just look, be intuitive, write it down, and see if you eat chicken or fish or something, what makes you feel so good that when you eat, you're not going to sleep. See, the one of the best way to see which food is good for you, if you eat and then you feel energized, you want to move the mountains. But if you eat and then you're like dragging your legs and you're like, where's the bed? Let me just, well,
And you
you
want to go
eat,
to sleep? Yeah.
right. You either overate the food or you ate food that was not good for you, because food creates energy. And another thing that I would say, you mentioned that people may be not eating enough. I would say you correct in a certain way, but I also would say many people are overeat as well.
Yep.
Why? Because what you said, they're not eating enough is the nourishing foods, but we have a people who are overeating, like you go to the restaurants and then you see this huge plate full of food.
Yeah.
This is too much food, and
Yeah.
if that's what you do, then you're in trouble as well. So yeah, so I would say be aware and work accordingly to what you feel. Write it down. The best connection is mind and brain.
Yeah.
Actually, is a hand and the brain connection is when you write. When you write, there's a beautiful connection. You actually putting everything, your thoughts on the paper, and then you read it. It's actually very good. So I would suggest write it down. You know,
right?
we are, me and Sarah, in this business for so many years, so we intuitively know already. I can even look at the person and tell you, but we want to teach you. That's the whole idea, to teach you, to empower you, so you don't need us. You become your own healer.
And you touched on a really good point, is that we're overfed and undernourished. And when you get into that metabolic state, this is the metabolic disease that everybody is putting, injecting themselves to try to counter. It's this GLP bologna and cheese that's going on out there. I call it bologna and cheese because people injecting themselves to try to lose weight is so counter to health. I can't even tell you. Yeah, we want to lose weight, but what are you doing to your body? And so when you're overeating and undernourished, your cells are actually starving, but you're putting too much food in your body. And this is, these type 2 diabetics. um, what happens is the cell will just turn off and it won't take in any more sugar. Sugar is fuel, right? And then the insulin acts like a key to go into the cell, but that cell is like, no, there's way too much of one thing going on here. I have to turn it off. And it's so hard to get people to understand that lifestyle is very anti-life, but it isn't about, you know, filling the hole and just getting rid of that hunger feeling. It's feeding your cells, it's nourishing your body. And when your cells start to turn off the nourishment, we have a problem. And this is what the United States is dealing with right now, is
Absolutely.
we're overfed and we're undernourished. So really good point. I also know people that don't eat enough because they're afraid of losing weight, gaining weight. So it's like
Yeah.
there's this whole caloric battle that goes on in their heads. And so taking those type 2 diabetics and the people that want to inject themselves and looking at these very obese people, we want to go back. And you mentioned ancestors. I think it's really important to when I had my children were young, I thought it was very important to to train their palates. And we're training all, so many people are just giving their kids sugar all the time. And you're training them to only want sugar later on. I kind of pride myself a little bit, a little pat on the back with my kids because I would always make healthy meals. And when I say healthy, I mean we always had one or two vegetables. There was always a good uh, protein. And I usually had potatoes or rice or quinoa. Some kind of starch is usually how I look at it. But the vegetables will always take up a larger portion of the plate than anything else. And then you want to get your fat and all that jazz. But I'd always serve them this food, and there was always fruits and vegetables with every single meal. Even, obviously breakfast, it wasn't just maple syrup and a waffle. It was always eggs, veggies, maybe some toast or
Right.
fruit in some toast. Lunch was the same way. If you can get your kids used to eating a diversity of foods, they will have no problem with food later on in life. Well, you can't guarantee everything, but it's less likely that they'll have food issues later in life. If my child, at any point in time, I was introducing a food to them, and and they would balk at it like, "Oh my God, I hate that." I'm like, "You don't have to eat it," because I don't believe in forcing people to eat food. I think that is a problem later on. A lot of people have trauma around food, which is interesting.
I agree,
But
100%.
I would have them just taste it. That's all you have to do is taste it. Make sure you taste it really good, and then you can just put it back on your plate. And after 20 times, about, if that child seriously doesn't like that food, then okay, you don't have to eat it. Uh, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to eat that food at some point because they're going to acquire a taste to it. And that's what you have to do when you have children. There's so many children that will only eat mac and cheese and chicken fingers. And because no one's changing that up. And I just say, who's in charge? You're not, are you going to make 3 different meals, 4 different meals every night because Tommy doesn't eat real food? Like, I mean, this it's a disaster what's happening in this
I
country with
agree with
food.
you.
So eat a diversity, start them young. But you also notice too, and I know you notice this, Hava, is that the parents eat like crap, so the kids are going to eat like crap.
Exactly.
So
So
how do we stop this vicious cycle? People like their food, people like what they're eating, but you have to understand that your health problems, first and foremost, are because of what you eat. So if you want to feel better, you should eat better. And that's like one huge thing that I've kind of ingrained in my children's heads, was that if you eat and then you feel horrible, what did you eat? Let's
right,
talk about it. You mentioned writing it down. Well, that's food diary is a wonderful way to connect your brain to your food and how you feel. And I can tell you just my little life that when my kids eat something and they don't feel well, yeah, they know that. And then they go to the good food because they want to feel better.
right.
And that's a win. So
Absolutely. I
how does
agree
food
with
make you
you.
feel? It's so important. And even if a child will not want to eat something that first time they taste it, and it's not about forcing them to eat it, but just invite them to taste it. That's
And
it.
this is so true, and you're like spot on this, because our taste buds are changing, and it's so important to train the taste buds. And the interesting part, yes, like, let's say if you will give me to eat mac and cheese all day long, then probably, that will be the problem, because then the taste bud will get used to this bluntly food. And then if you introduce me to different soups or squashes or stuff like that, then I would say ew. So the same thing happens with the children. That's why the parents are the foundation. And we always want to say to everyone, you need to understand that bottom line is not your children. It starts within you. And
Yes.
this healing journey starts with you. But we always want to give something good to our children, but we cannot give because you cannot lie. And I found lying is actually the most um, and is really not helping in our situation, because if you yourself eating crappy food and you're okay shoveling a lot of food and quick, and you have no any, and you eating next to the TV, and you even don't eat on like regular people, like I've seen it. I actually was horrified. I thought everybody's eating nicely next to the table, with this plate. And then I realized there's so many people who are already even not doing this anymore. They are having this table that it's like near their sofa, and while they're watching a movie or something, this is what they're doing. This is such a horrible thing, because now you have no longer, you're losing a momentum, you're losing connection with the food. You're no longer connected to what you eat. You just, and if the fly flew into the plate, you might never even know.
Right.
Because we are become so disconnected, and it's no longer I was the food, it becomes just like another, like, simple thing, but that's not. It's food. It should be a wonderful time where we get together, where we speak, where it's also should be very respected, and food that comes to the table, it's also needs to be respected. That's why we always would give blessing to the food. And why? Well, because if you want the food to nourish you, you also need to do certain things. Why we give blessing on the bread by the Jewish law? Well, because to get the bread, you need to do 10 different works just to get to make a simple bread. So we give a blessings. It's so, but we are in a society learn that everything's so easy. The cucumbers can grow from whatever. we forgot the appreciation. When you mentioned about the chicken, that people eat chicken all day long, I want to actually send them to 20 years back, and I want to see who was able to eat chicken every single day. None, because chicken was a celebrated food. There was a food that people would, just for you to eat the chicken, you need to buy, you have to go to the market, buy the chicken, and then go to the butcher, then go and clean the feathers, remove all the intestinal parts, and then clean the skin, scrub the skin. Like, it's so much work
It is,
just for the chicken.
and just to interject for just a second, that wasn't even 3 generations ago for us here in this country. Three, 3 or 4 generations that people were raising their own meat and killing, and processing their own stuff. So chicken was maybe part of it, but lamb was big,
Exactly.
cows. Um, but we were eating organ meat. I mean, we were eating all of it.
Exactly. That's
And
what I
you
want
see
to
these
say.
old signs in these restaurants was like, giblets and oxtails and beef heart on, this is what they were eating. So anyway.
Yeah, well, but that's what exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like, you are so good. That's exactly the point. When you get finally this chicken after you worked so hard, now you appreciate even the buttocks, the part that, like, where the chicken poops.
Chicken butts.
Why? Yeah,
Yeah.
chicken butt. Well, and why? Because it's hard work. There's appreciation to it. And
Yeah.
the same way, we need to go back to that, because otherwise we no longer appreciate the food. Food becomes something as a fast and easy. And the same way, once the food enters into your stomach, undigested, unabsorbed, you just poop it outside, if you haven't poop it. If not, then what happens is just rattens in there, and then you get maggots inside the stomach, and then people saying, oh, parasites. Well, but that's the whole idea, is that, first of all, look at the food that you buy. And that's exactly what, it's just so important. I think this is what we need to really bring. Like, if you really work on a piece of bread, you're not gonna just like throw out. You're gonna use the last piece of crumble if it's
Right.
possible.
Right.
And because you gave your life to it.
Yeah.
You work hard. You wait for a couple hours to the bread to rise. So it's not just a bread that you purchase somewhere. So this is what we need to, I think, to fix. Once we fix that, then already, there is a more appreciation, and then we can see it and speak about now how let's speak the next. We covered about the food and the seasons and stuff. Let's speak about how they should eat. Do they mix eat and drink that most people do? You want to speak about the rules of the eating?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, basically, I guess the underlying thing is understanding how your digestive process works. And
Right.
a lot of people don't. So I'll walk through it really quickly and then explain, what I think you're alluding to is just like mixing certain foods and
Exactly.
drinking a lot and stuff. So our digestion starts when we see food. So our mouth waters, and there's digestive enzymes in there, mostly amylase for sugar. And then our tummy rumbles because your stomach's getting ready. Your stomach is making hydrochloric acid. It's releasing some mucus and some slimy stuff to help that food digest. So you eat the food, you want to chew it really well, and then you swallow it, and your stomach's going to start processing it. You need stomach acid to break down much of the food. And then when the stomach empties, then your gallbladder releases bile to break down fats, and your pancreas releases more enzymes to break down the rest of the food. But you need stomach acid for those enzymes to really get pushed out of the pancreas and for that bile to be pushed out. Everything is like a domino effect. The food, now called chyme, goes into the small intestine. The small intestine has a ton of enzymes in there to break down sugars and fibers and things like that. We have a very long small intestine because we've evolved eating vegetables. So stomach acid in the stomach, we've evolved eating proteins and animal meats and things like that. Bile, fat, breaks down fat. When the food goes through the small intestine, it gets broken down more, and before it gets to the large bowel, most of the nutrients are out of it. It gets to the large bowel, and we have microbiome in the small intestine as well as the large intestine, and that breaks down the food further. It helps us create vitamins. So when we know how the process works, we can feed it properly. I would say when you sit down to a meal, you want to chew your food and you do not want to drink a lot during a meal, because what that does is it dilutes all the stomach acid and any enzymes that are in there right at that moment, and your stomach has to work harder, and then you'll end up with less digested food when it empties the stomach into the duodenum, which is the upper part of your small intestine. So, and you always want to eat in a rested state. You don't want to be running out the door, chewing on your muffin, drinking
Right.
your coffee. I mean, that is not a restful state. That is a stressful state. And one thing that we didn't mention, in regards to how does your digestive system get in trouble, which is poor diet, hormone activity, like stress and PMS and menopause, antibiotics, but nervous system. That vagal nerve runs down the center of your body. And so many people, if you're in a nervous state and you're trying to digest, you aren't going to digest very well. So, those are the things that I can mention as far as the processes we go through when we have a meal in front of us. And chew slowly and chew well. Be in a restful state.
Yeah,
Don't drink a
exactly.
lot during a meal.
Right.
Did I hear
I
that?
also would add a little bit on top of it. I would say, I would suggest also to understand that combination of too many foods can cause a trouble. And not because we cannot like it's not because like why what's the problem, the food in any ways will be digested. Well, unfortunately we are in such a severe and sick state that we cannot digest everything if it comes together, like if you mixing too much. So I found fruits, let the fruits be your fruit meal, let the vegetables be the vegetable meat, like the vegetable meal. Don't combine fruits, vegetables, soups, and then eat this is not good. It's not healthy for our system. So I would say if in the morning, let's say you drink warm water and then you have, and if it's a summer, you have smoothie or you have yogurt with frozen fruits or whatever. Let it be this your meal. Don't on top of that pile up another toast, and then you also need an eggs, and now I also need some avocado. That's too much food.
Hmm.
Okay, so I would say keep it simple. If
People.
you decide today there will be your fruity morning, then let it be your fruity morning, but don't overmix. And the same can come when we eat lunch or dinner, and some people don't need even lunch, they just need a good dinner. I don't know, everyone is individual. Some people need more lunch than they need a dinner. It also depends on the time when they go to sleep, and there's so much meaning to all this.
Yeah.
But I would say that, let's say if you eat also now steak and you have some good root vegetables, and so don't put me some blueberries into that, because that like this is, even though people would say yeah, but it anyways will be, no, in our state it can gonna cause bloatness, it gonna cause indigestion, gas, and many other issues. So keep it simple. You eating steak, then enjoy the steak with a piece of delicious yam or squash, just like that. And we have no problem of you enjoying a muffin or enjoy, like, it's not about restricting. See, we're not trying to restrict anything, we're trying to live, and enjoy, but also we just want to think and not over mix. And I found this is very important when because One, the people learn about healthy diet. Now they want to eat everything. And I've seen this, what they do, they make smoothies. So they put kale, spinach, carrots, blueberries, bananas, orange juice, blend it together. And they even add a protein powder on top of it. And then they chug it down, and then they walk like a stone in their stomach, and they don't understand. Yeah, but I'm eating healthy. No, this is absolute disaster what you're doing to your stomach whenever we would eat so much. No. So this is what I would say, and keep it very simple. And another thing I would say, in our state, we should not eat too much raw vegetables. What I found that we are so sick that we cannot even digest and process simple foods that our ancestors would. Well, because it's our microbiome is so destroyed, because our ancestors didn't grow up on glyphosate and other chemicals. So now you have no good bacteria in your system, and when you actually eating these kinds, that can actually cause a lot of trouble. So I would say keep it simple, and eat seasonal, and have a food that mainly cooked. And I found soups, stews are absolutely incredible.
Mm.
Even if you make a soup, you can make a soup as a delicious meal. Or you can have a rice, quinoa on the side, but you can make a soup with some lentils, put some meat inside, some good stuff, and that's it. That's a meal.
Mm.
You don't need the extra. It's like we learned, like we're in a restaurant. We need the first meal, first course, second course, third course, fourth course. Like, what is all this? This has never been part of our life. Who have time to sit and do first, second, third, and fourth course?
Right.
Maybe just the restaurants because they make money on it. But in
Right.
reality, it's just a very simple, make a stews. And especially winter time, this is the time to enjoy the delicious, heavy food. And so yeah, so that's what I would add into it. And after the stew, please do not have some bowl of strawberries. Once you're gonna do that, you're gonna feel so miserable.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit and have a delicious herbal cup of tea.
Well, you brought up some good points as far as like, food combining and just going further on the eating seasonally. The food combining, there's food combining charts out there if people want to look them up. It's, not mixing vegetables with a starch or not having meat with a starch, but eating vegetable with a starch is fine. Eating fruit by itself. There's a whole bunch of different things. And those are really good points, especially if someone's suffering from digestive issues. But I also wanted just to mention again with the eating seasonally is really interesting. And when you mentioned eating a lot of raw food, I couldn't agree more. I think this only eating raw phase was kind of ridiculous, and because we aren't ruminants. We don't have an extra stomach. We can't ferment this stuff in our stomachs, what those animals do when they eat raw food. It's actually cooked in their stomach. And what we've evolved cooking our food. So when you cook your food, you're actually breaking down the cell wall, so you're making the nutrients available. It doesn't mean cook your vegetables until they're mush. I actually think having an al dente vegetable is much better, obviously, than cooking it forever. But eating too much of the raw, that's really hard on your gut. It's hard for your gut to break that down. It doesn't mean all raw food is bad, but there's a lot of people that were doing just all raw all the time. And if you didn't get any fermented vegetables in your diet, you're not getting a lot of nutrition out of your food. Because when you ferment it, you're breaking the cell wall, some of the food is pre-digested, and then you can eat it and benefit from it. But so those are really good points. And eating a lot of cold food when it's already cold outside isn't really good for your body. And the warming things, the soups, the stews, that comfort food that we all crave when it gets cold outside, that's more conducive to a better to your body, and your body won't reject it as much. So those are all really good points. I really can't add much on that. topic,
Right.
right? But maybe we should talk just briefly. We have about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay. I was thinking maybe we should speak about a little bit restoring the microbiome, just a
Yeah.
few seconds. I
Yep.
think it's very important because we live in a very sick society. And I would say it's very important to take a proper probiotics. We speak about that, me and Sara, a lot about that because this is very important. Our wheat, our food, even our everything that comes around us, everything is so toxic, and that actually puts a lot of pressure on our microbiome. And also because medication that we are taking, some supplements actually reducing the microbiome. So basically we are our gut is actually in such a weak state that we need to help. And we see all the diseases that are piling up right now are all come from our gut. And so when we speak about eating and digesting the food, what is eats and helps with digestion is the good microbiome. That's the good bacteria is responsible to do all the job that we have in our body, is responsible for everything, right? So we have to always maintain a certain level in our gut, that it's always there is a more friendly bacteria than there is a unfriendly. And in our environment, we have more unfriendly and we have no friendly bacteria, sometimes not at all. And that's what everything begins from there. Once you have too many bad bacteria settling in your gut, then everything from there is just like will crash down. Unfortunately, you cannot absorb, you cannot digest, your thoughts are not good, you have problem with your memory, menopause, premenopause, all these issues, they are coming. A disease begins when there is too much bad guys and not enough good guys. So we have to restore the balance. And sometimes people say, yeah, but I do whatever. I'm taking my kimchi, my this, my that. And I actually wanted to bring this to attention. You need to understand we have no time playing around with kimchi and all other stuff. We must restore the microbiome by introducing a good bacteria. And for that purpose, what we do, and Sara is also doing, I've seen amazing results, is giving Protein probiotics, which is the Superdophilus, is my main probiotic that I suggest as a base to everyone. Any walking soul must take the Superdophilus probiotic. Why? Because it will start rebuilding and reseeding a good bacteria. So now you can, a little bit what you eat will be absorbed and digested. That's so crucial for us, right? So that's what I would suggest as the beginning, and helping restore the microbiome. Any disease that comes in your system is because there is too many bad guys and not enough good guys. That's simple in the simplest matter. And why I'm saying not to be overexcited about kombucha and all the yogurts that people do, because people have no idea that kombucha was a medicine, never intended to drink on a daily basis. None of the stuff was intended to drink them in gallons. They
Right.
intended to drink a very small amount. And the problem that we have now, every second or third guru now inventing their own kombucha's own stuff, and they are playing with bacteria that actually can cause more damage, because nobody in the government going and checking, are those bacteria efficient? Oh, as long as I see some bubbly, I'm good. As long my yogurt is a little bit sour, I'm good. Now I'm telling you, because I worked and I prepared a real yogurt just a couple days ago, and I want to tell you the difference is absolutely, it's like I cannot even say the difference in the taste, in the flavor of a real yogurt than the yogurt that I taught many years even how to do it. It's so different because we don't understand. Even simple bread making, there is a knowledge behind. So
Yeah.
if we think that everybody can do it, that's not true. Because we have people who doing kombuchas and maybe they not unknowingly brewing bacteria that actually is not good.
You know what I see, Hava, when people, I can tell when people do too much kombucha. because their pallor gets really pale. And
Oh,
to me, that's candida. Like
yeah,
they're just drinking yeast or they're feeding the yeast in their body.
exactly.
So I
This
don't know
is
if
very
that's,
important.
yeah.
100%. I'm telling you, this is very
So
important.
would you
Because
suggest people like if they want to make their own, because I teach classes on fermented food, I always have. But would you, instead of the wild fermentation, would you suggest people buy the actual bacteria to inoculate their ferments?
exactly. So I
Okay.
would suggest that, well, so I can only speak right now about the yogurt because that's exactly what I'm now working on, and I'm going to release the video very soon. And I want to tell you that I was preparing yogurts myself, okay, for years, okay, but I've never known that there is so much nuances that we never thought about them. So let me tell you, 15 years ago, I would do the yogurt. You buy a raw milk and then you take from the starter that you have a commercial grade yogurt, whatever you have. It doesn't matter. You just use the starter from them, or you buy a good yogurt that you found in the store, organic, and you take from there, you warm the milk, you add it, bye-bye, you put it in a warm, in a couple hours, you have a yogurt. Okay, that's what we've been, this is, now I'm realizing this is not the way it should be. What we do is we first have to simmer the milk. Nobody speaks about that. They tell you, no, don't simmer, keep the raw milk. How, you don't understand. Raw milk contains already its own bacteria. So where now you're introducing a new bacteria, you actually cross-contaminate between them. Then now releasing in new babies that you have no idea what the hell they're releasing.
Mm.
It looks like the yogurt is good, but you have no idea because you are not in charge. Do you understand? So first of all, not boiling, but simmering the milk some for 20, 30 minutes. Nobody's doing that. That's number one. The next thing is keeping a certain temperature. And then reducing the temperature. I'm telling you, it's a process. And then giving the powder that I get from Natasha, which is a specific lactobacillus, whatever it's in live in the probiotics that I get from her, comes in a powder, a special starter. It's called
Oh,
yogurt starter, and you take it and you mix it and you mix it. You slowly awaken the bacteria, and then only then, when the milk reduces to the certain temperature, only then you add the starter, and then you're not actually transferring from bowls to another bowls, as less utensils as possible, that most people don't understand. And then you put it in a special heat, and then you keep it for 5 6 and then you only get the yogurt. Do you understand? Nobody speaks about that. It's
right.
like we and I'm like, I just prepared the yogurt and I taste it. It's different. The taste is not sour, it's more sweet,
Mm.
it's more like different. It's something that we forgot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is so important. And so this is only about yogurt. And now let's speak about the sourdough. And I know this from sourdough classes, everyone making, following the recipe. You bring everyone's sourdough together and you taste. Everyone's starter is different,
Yes.
but they all follow the same freaking recipe. How come this one is like that, the other one? It's because this is the individual. That's the problem. Not everyone can do it. You understand? Somebody maybe stick the dirty finger. Somebody was in too hot. Somebody forgot about it. Somebody even put in the refrigerator that didn't really care. That's what I'm saying. We have no time playing around with bacteria. And that's why I would say everyone should be on super duffers. Once you are on that, now you can start reintroducing and learning how to work with the rest of the bacteria. But do not, under any circumstances, take kombucha in a large quantity, because they can cause so much damage. Do not take cabbages from where, I don't know, they've been made, unless you know exactly how it's made. I prefer like person made himself, watching maybe the fungi is building up. How do you know?
Right.
And another thing I figure out, that people even don't know how to work with cheesecloths. People don't even wash their cheesecloths properly. They just wash it like this. No, you actually have to cook the cheesecloths in the hot boiling water. Nobody speaks about all that.
Yeah,
So
you gotta
we are like,
sanitize. Yeah.
yeah, so all sanitation is very important, hand cleaning, environment. So all these things are playing very important roles. So when I say to the people, be careful, there is a meaning to it. And
Yeah.
I'm right now learning, and I've been in this business for so many years, and I'm still learning. So
Yes, well, we never stop learning, and those are all really good points, Hava, because fermentation nation here, it's a really hot topic. People love to do it. And of course, I've just been teaching the wild fermentation way, but I'm certainly gonna look into some starters and see how different it tastes, and how that changes things. It's too bad we couldn't just go and get our ferments analyzed by a lab or something, or there's some kind of home kit we could test what we're actually ingesting, because you bring up some really good points. But yeah,
well,
so
I tell you what, is not that I want also people, and it's not that we cannot do it. We just don't have enough knowledge,
yeah,
because it was not been passed to our ancestors. Like some still do as a family. That's why I'm so listening to Natasha, because they've been in this business for like 200 years doing yogurts. So for me, she is the mother, because she explains me things that I never understood, that are like, what's the problem making yogurt? It's like 5 minutes. No,
what would be great? Yeah, when you do your yogurt thing, post it in the Facebook page too.
I'm doing today, before I'm leaving tomorrow to New York, but today I'm going to do the video because I already made twice. I did my homework. It tastes so different. I want people to experiment. But only experiment the way that we are teaching. There is a meaning to it.
Right.
Don't think that we are you're smarter because someone told you that you can just drink goggle raw milk. Nobody drinks raw milk like that. It's ridiculous. It's like no one done that. We never had raw milk drinking like this. Yes, there was a time that we would drink, but it was right after taking from the cow and drinking. But then the next day there was no refrigeration, there was no way, because once you let the milk to ferment,
You're
it's
making
already
cheese.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not that it's getting rotten. The milk, the good milk, never gets rotten. It's gently ferments.
Yeah.
But the problem is what in this fermentation it's building up.
Right.
And that's why our ancestors, what they would do, they would make sure that they simmer the milk, that they don't kill the bacteria, but they then introduce a specific
Yeah.
yeast that they are in charge.
Hmm.
That way the bad guys are not in charge. Like so much meaning. So that's all what I'm trying to say.
Excellent. I love all that. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's very important. And because we are in such a sick state, and we are in such a sick state that we no longer can play around with whatever wild can come up, on our plate. That's all what I'm trying to
Well,
say.
again, that's such good points, and because many of us know probiotics are really good for your body, but we also need to be mindful of just popping any kind of probiotic that,
Yeah.
wouldn't actually serve you. And it also explains why a lot of people who take probiotics don't do well on them, because that's not the strains that their body needs, so they just kind of gets rid of them. So yeah, I try to instill in them to do the acidophilus first, and just like you were
No,
saying, yeah,
not,
the supradophilus and
a
the
process.
yeah,
I found it's a huge process because we are in such a weak state. So I would suggest Superdofil as a base. And I'm telling you, people think that probiotics is right now. Probiotics don't have a good name. Why? Because 90% of companies are corrupted. And this is what people don't understand. Sarah, you know how easy is now to create a product. You know that someone from was yesterday was selling shoes, tomorrow can sell a probiotics and put on this a fancy name and everybody gonna buy it. Will they heal? No,
no,
because you need to know what you're doing.
right,
You clinical herbalist, you know better. If you combine, let's say, Vitex with some other herbs, what's going to happen? Many people taking Vitex now on a daily basis, they don't understand what is going to happen to their
that's
system.
right. Right.
Right, just
That's right.
somebody yesterday texted me about Vitex is it good, and then I posted that you never use in only one state. It's good in combinations and not for prolonged time, because that's a very strong herb. And in my case, let's say I would not suggest it, but people use it because they don't understand, and they're causing trouble. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. It's become such a corrupted world. And I'm telling you, I realize this, Sandra, and I will mention this. It's on purpose. Why
Mm.
it's on purpose? Because the government realized why we need to put guidelines. We don't need to put guidelines. Why? Because they will destroy themselves. And this is exactly what is happening. People in health business are all about making money,
Okay.
fast profit,
Yeah.
not enough education, quick learning, just shovel it to the people, and that's it.
But
And
on the other hand, I wouldn't want the government stepping in too much with the natural stuff
oh
because,
yeah, no, I agree, but I'm saying certain guidelines.
yeah.
We know that we follow guide, like we as a herbalist, we follow guidelines. Tincture and a certain alcohol. You're not gonna use a tincture that, I mean, you're not gonna use alcohol that is very cheap, right? 1 minute.
She's
One
gonna go
second.
get alcohol.
Hi, sorry to interrupt. I'm Sue, and this is my roommate
Oh, she
Celine.
has someone there.
We're leaving at 6.
Yeah, so she's bringing up a lot of good points in regards to just taking herbs willy-nilly off the shelf and trying to self-medicate. Always talk to an herbalist, talk to one of us, email us, go to the Facebook page and send us a message because, there's a lot of do's and don'ts about herbal medicine and while it's the people's medicine and it tends to be pretty mild in certain circumstances, herbs are powerful, and it's always good to talk to somebody who understands the ins and outs of herbs and in what, I was just teaching a class today and we were talking about herbs for bone health, and it's like every herb has a caveat. Every herb has a contraindication or something you have to watch out for because long-term use can cause certain issues in certain people. uh and we always want to balance the risk and the benefit with anything, and herbs are no exception. So you brought a lot of really good points. I think we should probably wrap it up, Hava.
Wrap it up.
um
Yes, I think so. I
and
think
of
we
course we didn't touch on half the things that we could touch on with the gut because it's such a
oh,
huge topic.
we do a whole cycle. That's the beauty of what we do. We never give up. We continue to do our classes, and the beauty is that we will come back to this, and each time we bring something new on the table.
Yeah.
And that's what I think it's beautiful. We go back on the same topic, but it's not never the same. It's
Right.
always new. It's
That
always new.
helix of learning.
Exactly. And you involve with us. We're growing together. That's the beauty of it. That we are both. We love to learn. We love, to and also we love to teach. And the beauty is that we're so open. Come join us and see. That's the beauty. There is not
Yeah.
about making another buck. Trust me, we're not doing any money from here.
No,
we
this
just
is
we're
for
giving
free,
our
people.
precious time to sit with you because it matters, because by the end, when we're not going to be in this world, who will continue this? Your children will continue. So for us, this is a gift. This is a gift that you're coming, listening to us, and you growing with us, and that's okay. So what, we didn't cover the whole, but we did
That's okay.
mention a
Yeah.
few important topics. Here we go.
Well, and then I
Another
mentioned it too
lesson
because
learned.
it's such a vast topic that we could do digestion for millennia.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just.
I
So
know.
thank you
But
very much, Hava, for
anyway,
your time. Yeah.
thank you,
Great.
everyone.
We're
Bye.
signing off until not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, which I don't even remember the date now.
It's okay. We're gonna, you have a written down? We're
Uh,
gonna announce them.
I do. Uh, why can't I get to my calendar? So it's the 21st, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, 1:30 Pacific Time,
Hmm.
and we will be live on Facebook, and we also will post the whole show on Spotify, YouTube, and our Heal Yourself Naturally Facebook page. So,
Amazing.
and I
Thank
can't
you
go
so
live
much.
on the Heal Yourself Naturally page, which I would like to, through Zoom. So whatever,
It's okay.
technology, I'll never understand, whatever.
It's okay. It's okay.
But
We
thank you
all
very
doing
much.
what we can. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us.